Well, hi again, I am Mark. I'm the amateur cowboy, and today I've got my buddy's horse here. His name's Cowboy II, and big quarter horse off the racetrack up in Washington a few years ago. Turned into a Colorado trail horse. Got a few issues. Primarily pulling back is one issue. Pretty serious issue, I think. He pulled back on this the other day, and I thought it was going to break the D off my trailer, but it didn't. And I had him tied short enough that he was not able to get the leverage he needed to break my equipment and then get that release. And that's the worst thing that can happen when you've got a horse that pulls back. If they can break your equipment and get that release, then they kind of learn from that. And I think the problem gets worse. So there's two ways to deal with that. You can tie them short enough and with heavy enough equipment that they can't break it, and you need a rope halter, kind of like this one. Or you can let them get some relief, but not the satisfying relief of breaking away the equipment. So if you wrapped this around a fence post a couple times so that it would slide, but difficult like that, then that can kind of help the horse learn that, oh, this pulling back stuff's really not giving me the kind of relief that I want. But when they break the equipment, then you're kind of reinforcing a bad problem, and it can get worse. And I've seen horses literally sit down on their butt and pull back, and it's dangerous. It can be dangerous for the humans around, it can break the equipment, and it can also be dangerous for some of the other horses around. So it's a bad problem I want to kind of work on over time. So the other thing I want to do with this horse, or I'm sorry, the other problem that I see with this horse is water crossings. Literally a 6-inch brook. If it's kind of muddy, if it's rocky, if there's some dead trees laying around, it can become a real problem for this horse. And to me, that's a lack of confidence. He just doesn't really understand what's being asked of him. And then he kind of gets a little emotional. So I think that pulling back and these problems crossing little tiny creeks and brooks and so forth, I think they're related. I think it has to do with confidence and the appropriate response to pressure. And this is something that I like to talk about all the time when it comes to horses. Does the horse respond appropriately to pressure? And that's really what horse training is all about. And that's why I like to do a lot of groundwork, because I can really focus in when I'm on the ground to working with the horse, teaching them how to respond appropriately to pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and hook him up here. Now you'll notice he does kind of stand here and stays close. If he'd been on the far side of the round corral here when I came in, he would have done one of two things. He either would have decided to move away, which would have been a lack of confidence decision on his part, or he would have come to me. And what usually happens is he'll start to move away, and then I'll put a little pressure on him saying, that's not really what I'm looking for. And then within 2 or 3 minutes, he kind of takes a deep breath and he turns to me, and that's when I take all the pressure off and take a step backwards like that. So this horse has some pretty good draw already built in. The counter to that is he can also kind of get in a person's face, and that's something I'm working on too. So I try to create this force field around me that he's not allowed to get into. And sometimes when I have to correct that, if he gets into that, then that can create that sort of emotional response where he kind of wants to pull away and back up really fast. So that's something to look for too. This is not a bad horse, not trying to say that. I'm just trying to point out a couple of the things that I think need to be worked on with this horse. He's actually a lot of fun to work with because he is so willing to move, and he wants to learn. He wants to seek that relief. Now you can see he's very relaxed right now, but what you might see is as we kind of get going here, that emotion might come up. So there I'm just asking him, take a step back, and the head came up a little. Not asking you to turn and go anywhere. Now, what I like to do kind of at this stage with a horse, especially one that's a little emotional and likes to go forward, is everything isn't go forward fast. I like to see if I can get the go forward slow button built in, and I think I'm getting that. And you can see he's kind of licking and chewing right now. I like that. You know, it's pretty easy with a horse like this to, you know, throw the stick and the string up in the air and say, yeah, I can get him going, and he'll canter around me for an hour if I needed that, but I don't need that. So what I'm trying to work on is a very emotionally balanced approach to all of this, so that I have complete control. That was nice, a little deep breath there, I like that. And you see, I didn't punish him coming in. He wants to come in and be with me, he finds comfort in here. That's good, because that's building in that draw. Now, as we get more and more advanced at this, I will be on top of it, and I will, you know, when he starts to come in, if I'm not ready for him to come in, I'll say, nah, thanks for asking, but why don't you stay on outside and keep going. So I'm just gonna ask him to follow my feel, and you can see the energy in my body is very low right now. That's deliberate. I like this. I like him to take off at a nice slow walk like that under emotional control. If I get too greedy, if I say, you know, yeah, get going, now here's gonna ask, and I'm gonna say, no, thanks for asking, but let's just keep going. And he's like, okay. But if I got too greedy, start asking for speed before I have emotional control, then that head's gonna come up. You'd see he'd get kind of choppy. I think he might ask to come in here, so I'm gonna keep an eye on him. But you'd see the emotion and the tightness then come into his stride. And these are the things I'm trying to avoid. I want this horse, thanks for asking, but keep going. I want this horse to enjoy his time working with me and learning, and not feel like this is some sort of death by 1,000 cuts, right? Now, what I'm gonna do here is see if I've got a little bit of a direction change built in, and I do. That took a few days to build, and I want him to go outside the cone there, and now I'm going to ask for the direction change the other way, and you can see what I've got going here is a little bit of a figure 8 pattern around these cones. Now I'm not going to drill that, he's just learning this, and ask him to go outside that cone. And now, instead of a disengage, because we're doing this figure 8 and I want to improve his draw, I'm going to do it this way. This is how I'm going to stop that part of the training, with him coming into me, bending in, and keeping his feet moving. Because if you're not careful, when you start asking for those direction changes, you'll get a disengage, and this horse will just stand there looking at you. That's not what you want. You want the horse to continue to move. All right. So I liked what I saw there. Let's see if we can, I've never done it at the trot, and let's try it at the trot. I might talk about a couple other things here while we're setting this up. I need this horse, before I can do these simple exercises, I need a couple things built in. First of all, I need some confidence. I need a horse that's not afraid of me. I need to be able to move around the horse. You can see right there, it's a challenge, right? So there, he breathed out. He's like, okay, you can move. So you need to be able to come in here and touch this horse wherever I want and have it not mean anything. A lot of horses, everything means go. And you don't want that. Not everything means go. Only certain things are gonna mean go to this horse. So now I'm in a position here where I can kind of touch him on the hind quarter and get that disengage right there, and that's what I want. And then all the pressure comes off. Now what you can do is you can also, once you get what you want, you can pat or rub. And that's another way to kind of reinforce and teach. But you want your horse to be relaxed through all this. You don't want the head coming up and the horse going, what are you doing to me back there? So I need to be able to do it with the hind quarter, and then I need to be able to do it with the front quarter too. And I don't really want forward. Let me shorten my lead and looking for this left front to cross over that one, and then I reward. Now, when we're really good, we'll be able to do a 360 no problem. You can see it's getting just a little bit into my space, so I'm going to create that force field. So no, you don't come in here. So just to finish this off, let's see what it looks like at the trot. Because ultimately, we'll be able to do this at the canter and get our lead changes every time he comes through those cones. So I just need a little bit more back. And I'm gonna go the same direction because this is all kind of new. Now that head came up, you could see that. There was just that emotion. Give him a little bit of rhythm here with my stick. Say, that's what I want. You're doing the right thing. I know we've been working at the walk a lot. Now I want the trot. So I've got a nice trot. I'm gonna bring him around here, and this could get a little more difficult than the walk. So I just keep backing up, and then I bring my energy back forward as soon as he changes directions, like that. And I'm gonna go straight back. And yeah, I like that. So you can see it's pretty easy to get him kind of amped up. And it's a lot of fun too. But he came right back to the trot, which I like. And now we'll just try it one more time. See if we can do it. There. And that's all at the trot. Now, to finish this, I'm just gonna start going backwards in an arcing pattern like this to keep his feet moving toward me. And I like that. This is gonna build that draw that I need for all of these things to work well. So, you know, this is a lot of fun to do, and I think it really improves the relationship between the human and the horse, but it teaches that horse proper response to pressure. And that's the key to having a great horse, in my opinion. So you see the last thing I'm doing is I'm kind of setting up that boundary, that force field, like, you're okay, but don't come in here, right? And he's getting a lot better. So I like that. I'm Mark, I'm the amateur cowboy with a horse named Cowboy here too, and hope you enjoyed that. I sure did. Oh boy. Don't come in. Oh boy. Come in.